Today, I am introducing a budget that I wish no mayor ever had to introduce. In fact, it is a budget that pains me to present because of what it does to services in the city I love. It is a budget that is 30 years in the making. It is the budget where the cold, hard reality of the City of York's precarious financial situation finally has very real and very painful consequences for city employees and for city residents. It is a budget that, quite frankly, I would do almost anything to avoid. But there is one thing I will not do. Over the past year, I have heard loud and clear that more property tax increases in the City of York are out of the question. I have heard struggling elderly homeowners talk about the fear of losing their houses. I've seen high taxes squelch the life out of exciting real estate development opportunities and projects. I've heard enough is enough over and over from people who care deeply about our city. I've been urged to confront and expose just how bad the situation is. I have heard city council members express a strong desire to actually reduce property taxes, a sentiment I share because we all know that we are struggling and strangling the life out of our city. So today, I am presenting a budget that makes it painfully clear. It is a budget with no increase in property taxes and a reduction of more than 75 total positions from city government, including 8 positions from our fire department, and 46 positions from our police department. The budget also assumes furloughs for the remaining city workers. This does not make me happy. As we have been predicting publicly for several years, and as recently confirmed by the work that York College did for the York County Community Foundation, a number of factors have combined to make 2015 the end of the line for any quick fixes or financial gimmicks to balance the City of York's budget. A combination of major retroactive contract arbitration awards for firefighter pay and benefits, combined with the growth of pension for police and other city employees, put us in a position where the day of reckoning has come. The situation is exacerbated by contractual requirements that limit my flexibility in where to make these cuts. Further, in 2015, it ends a state-granted pension relief period designed to assist municipalities following the Great Recession. So I know this doesn't really come as a surprise to anyone, as you've heard me say it time after time again. You've heard other mayors over the last 20 years be very clear that the City of York's government, as we know it, was not sustainable. Expecting a stagnant and often declining tax base and just 5.2 square miles to provide enough funding to fight a regional crime problem, take care of the oldest infrastructure in the county, and pay health care and pension benefits to more retirees and active employees has never been realistic. And the reality is that increasing taxes enough to completely avoid these kinds of reductions is not an option, even if we wanted to, because the city will soon bump against statutory limits to its taxing authority. This is the first step in a process between me, the members of council, and anyone in our community who cares about our future. Is there a better way? Can your city survive with a police force of nearly half of its current size? Will other entities step up to help? Will our own employees make the kind of contract concessions needed to mitigate this blow? Will our state legislators decide we have not been bluffing all these years and do something to address our antiquated, inflexible, and unfair municipal tax system? It is inconceivable to me that anyone would think that the city can survive a 16% or 3.30 mil tax increase to avoid this cold, hard reality. It is also inconceivable our own employees would rather have this kind of reduction than work together to create government services that don't break the bank. And finally, it is inconceivable to me that the residents of Greater York think this is simply a city problem and that they can look the other way and pretend that this kind of service reduction would not affect them. Since taking office, I have made it a priority to inform York citizens and those residents in the greater York area about the impending financial constraints in our city, but really in all the cities in Pennsylvania. I've testified countless times before state legislators. I've created a section on those cities' website dedicated to education and transparency. I have completed financial strategic plans for our city government, and I have made very difficult decisions up to and including today. This begins our budget process, and it is a process. I have been in constant meetings with our budget team, developing innovative ideas. I anticipate that these will continue alongside our city council members. And I want to stress, definitely want to stress, I am in active conversations with the Fraternal Order of Police. And together we are developing a package of possible concessions that may ease the financial burden of the city, allowing us to balance our budget with less reduction in the police department. So today, I reiterate and stress statements that I've made countless times during my years in office. Our city and cities in Pennsylvania are financially unstable. Decades of legacy costs, unfair high concentration of tax-exempt real estate, and antiquated rules governing taxation have only left our city constantly walking a financial tightrope. Our state government must act. Our business and philanthropic community must step up. Our county government must provide support. Our residents must speak up to be part of the solution and demand the reforms required to truly make for a financially viable, strong, sustainable, and successful city. I am ready, willing, and able to work constructively with anyone who wants to be part of a bold and creative solution that will actually fix this problem, not just dodge and defer it. That process starts now, as this is rarely the finished and adopted product, meaning our budget. I look forward to the coming weeks of positive and constructive discussion with many members of our community. And I will now ask Michael Dowry to come forward to talk specific numbers with you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor, and members of the public, members of the press, for this time. In spite of difficult times, we have made some strides over the past few weeks. We started out on October 6th with the mayor's budget hearings of a gap of $7 million. Unfortunately, these position cuts were necessary to bring that in line. In spite of difficult times, I'll list a few highlights of where we are succeeding and moving in the right direction. The Recreation Fund improved in 2013, cutting the deficit in half from $671,000 to $353,000. We continue to build in deficit reduction, and we should see this deficit eliminated by 2016. The Sewer Fund. Unfortunately, we will have to raise sewer rates this year by 6%. That's approximately 50 cents per 1,000 gallons of water use. This is needed in order to keep compliant with the Chesapeake Bay Watershed Initiative and to repair our aging infrastructure. White Rose Community Television. For the time being, WRCT will be reduced to one staff member until additional sustainable funding can be raised to effectively maintain desired operating levels. A request for bids on finding a long-term studio partner was advertised this month, and we are currently awaiting responses. We have strong reasons to believe that a deal will be brokered by the early 2015. Economic and community development. The city has also made significant strides over the past year in pursuit of goals set by the administration for the Department of Economic and Community Development. Through partnerships, creativity, community involvement, DCED has been able to make strides in its efforts to build a sustainable local economy that has a positive impact on our residents in the forms of jobs created, improved housing stock, and an ever-increasing standard of living for the city residents. The department has also excelled in identifying and engaging in projects with the objectives to stabilize neighborhoods that have suffered from disinvestment. Furthermore, through its ability to leverage city funds, the department has been able to make indelible impacts across the community. Some of these projects include Royal Square, Salem Square, the Northwest Triangle, and redevelopment efforts in the Northeast by Think Loud and others. The bid for City Revitalization Improvement Zone, also known as CRIZ, was unsuccessful, but all hope is not lost. The team is committed and continues to work its magic into 2015. The proposed cuts to staff and spending will bode well for the city financially moving forward. If we are able to work together to get through this tough year, then better days are ahead. 2014 and 2015 have several large one-item adjustments that will not be included in future years. This includes the fire arbitration awards, the new financial management system, and leave time payouts to employees that are currently being proposed to be laid off. York will emerge stronger than ever on the other side of the storm with the financial means to pay down deficits, build adequate reserves to cover future anticipated and unanticipated events. Therefore, through this budget, Mayor Bracy is proposing a plan to set York on the right track towards financial recovery. The 2013 Management MD&A section of the 2013 audit, the Management Discussion and Analysis section, describes the many steps taken over the years and the numerous studies completed to identify and remedy the problems. Despite following the recommendations of these highly regarded experts, these strategies only slowed the effects of the problems instead of remedying the causes. These solutions were not enough to overcome the vicious, reinforcing cycle of low property values, leading to lower tax revenues being generated despite increasing costs. This pattern creates the need to raise taxes in order to raise revenue, but in the long term, this further reduces the property values, stymies economic development, and further perpetuates the never-ending cycle of a city trying to tax its way out of a hole. To continue to repeat the same actions yet expecting a different result is not only impossible, but is the very definition of insanity. So, moving forward, in 2015, with the expiration of Act 44, pension relief provisions, the city is faced with a $2.44 million increase in the annual MMO payment. This is our minimum municipal obligation to our pension fund, and a $345,000 increase in pension bond debt service payments. Breaking from the norm, the City of York will enact a distressed pension earned income tax provision made possible through Act 205. The city will raise the earned income tax rate for residents and non-residents alike from 1% to 1.25%. This measure will generate at least $2.5 million of additional revenue annually starting in 2015. It is important to note that unlike most taxes, the majority of this revenue will be paid by commuters who previously only gave $52 or $1 per week in the form of a local service tax. Admissions tax. Despite being on the books since 1967, the admissions tax ordinance was never enforced in York. In recent years, this decision was reevaluated and efforts were made to start collecting this relatively small yet significant revenue. Throughout 2014, several steps were taken to update the ordinance with hopes of creating a platform that was not overly aggressive, yet still able to generate sustainable revenue for the city. Those revisions were passed in September, and as of January 1, 2015, the York Adams Tax Bureau will begin enforcing the tax and administering collections. Contingency funds. 2015 will also mark the first year that a reserve fund is established to begin addressing the $17.4 million in unfunded liabilities attributable to other post-employment benefits, including but not limited to retiree health care and deferred compensation. Similarly, contingency funds have been established to help offset expected arbitration expenses for anticipated legal challenges to the proposed restructuring of the staffing model in the fire and police departments. In a similar fashion, a $50,000 contingency was started for the use of general fund money to cover the historical trend of annual funding shortfalls in the health department. In spring of 2015, we will also launch our new financial management system. Replacing a system acquired in 1998, the city continued the commitment to increased efficiency through automation by contracting with McGladrey Consultants to upgrade the Microsoft Great Plains Financial Management System. This was a recommendation from the 2011 PFM study referenced earlier, and the city was awarded a $150,000 grant from the state of Pennsylvania for this project. Ultimately, this new financial system will increase revenue by improving collections above existing rates. The city has taken many proactive steps to improve its financial health and put in place the structure necessary for future economic and human capital growth. While the challenges are great, the city is fortunate to have a community of business leaders, a strong community foundation, and city leaders who see the incredible potential of the city if its financial challenges can be conquered. These disparate groups agree on the need to dramatically reduce, not just stabilize, city real estate taxes, both school district and municipal. Until this is done, the success of the core urban center will continue to be limited. Notwithstanding the financial challenges that the city faces, citizens can be assured that we will continually look for ways to improve, improvise, and innovate. It is our vision that the city of York shall be a thriving urban community in which every person is welcome to be safe, successful, and happy. We will not be ashamed to copy good practices from others, nor will we fear trying new things of our own devising. The protection and improvement of the health, safety, and welfare of the community is our reason for being. Citizens can be assured that the Bracy administration holds the long-term welfare of the community as the guiding principle of our actions. Thank you, Mayor. And I am getting the okay that the 2015 budget is now available online. It will be distributed to City Council in electronic format here shortly, and probably already has been. Actually, it has been. Printed copies will be made available to anyone who requests them.
For $25.
We need to do what we have to do. It will be a fee of $25 for any printed copies. Anything else?
We'll take any questions.
Mayor, what's your take on some being concerned about public safety?
I'm sorry, sir.
What's your take on public safety? I know the chief spoke in hearings last month about concern for public safety if cuts were to occur.
Yeah.
With this announcement, what's your take on those that may be looking at public safety as a concern now with these cuts are being made?
Certainly going to let Chief Kelly speak to it more specifically. The department is prepared to provide the services as best we can, recognizing there will be cuts. We still have a mission. We have an obligation to our citizens, and we will do all that we can to provide the necessary services.
Mayor,
Anything more? Okay. Anything more? Okay.
Mayor, I suspect, and I'm sure you'll acknowledge that you lost a lot of sleep in putting this together. How agonizing for you personally was it to finally come up with this budget?
Yeah, it was not easy at all, Ed. Thank you. Very painful. These are folks that I work with, folks that I've worked with for a long time, for one thing, and a city that I love and that I've seen grow and continue to thrive, and lots of great things happening. We want to continue that direction, and hope that all of us can pull together as a community and work together to continue to do that. But this was the absolute worst experience as mayor.
I just want to confirm, you said 46 positions in the police department?
In the police department.
Okay, and then 8 in the fire department,
Mm-hmm.
and 75 total, so there's, roughly 20 or
Throughout. More than 75. It's, yeah.
Okay. Can you, just not specifically positions, but are the rest of those spread throughout the city budget?
Every department has been touched through this.
You have a couple of openings
I'm sorry, Han?
a couple of openings at department heads, business administrator, accountant. Believe you feel
This was priority, obviously, getting through that, but we do need those folks, and we'll be making strides toward that next.
and those salaries are included in this budget.
There has always been a salary band for directors, so it will be within that area.
One specific question, Is HRC still in the budget?
Is it still in the budget? They had some cuts as well, too. Yep.
Mayor, what's the total amount of the budget again? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, sir.
The total amount of the budget itself, the big round number as part of the budget.
Yeah.
The overall budget is close to $100 million, but the general fund, which is where we focus on, that's about $41 million.
I thank you all. Again, I thank our community partners who are here with us today, the other elected officials I did not acknowledge before now, the controller, others, and their treasurer. Folks have pulled together for a long time to work hard on what's happening here. We've been in close contact, of course, with our representative's office, Kevin Schreiber, and others, and hoping to really get some attention here at our state level to help us address these issues. We are available to answer any other questions privately if you want. Thank you for coming out this afternoon. Thank you, gentlemen.